The interview was supposed to be routine, another panel, another debate, another night of hot takes and rapid-fire questions. But when Karoline Leavitt sat across from Denzel Washington on national television, what began as a political exchange quickly became something else entirely. The segment opened with intensity, the kind that fills a studio when two formidable voices share the same space. Karoline entered sharp, confident, smirking just a touch too much. Denzel arrived calm, composed and grounded. No theatrics, just presence. They sparred over policy, principles, leadership. Then it happened. Karoline leaned in, eyes gleaming, and said, "It's easy to sound wise when you're reading scripts for a living. Try leading in the real world, not Hollywood." The audience didn't gasp, they froze. The silence was heavy, the kind that follows a line that cuts too deep, too fast. Denzel didn't blink, he didn't flinch. He took a slow sip of water, set the glass down gently, then looked at her. "You confuse fame with influence," he said, voice smooth and deliberate. "I didn't come here to entertain you. I came to remind people what accountability looks like." There were murmurs. Karoline tried to interject, but Denzel wasn't finished. "You talk about the real world like it's something you've survived. I came from it, I built in it, and I never left it." That was the pivot. Karoline's expression faltered just slightly. The confidence dimmed. The room's balance shifted, and everyone felt it. The host tried to redirect the discussion, but the momentum was gone. Before the commercial even aired, the clip was online. Viral. Denzel hadn't clapped back, he had dismantled, with grace, in near silence. Karoline thought she'd scored a hit. She hadn't even made contact by midnight. The clip had over 5 million views. Even people who never watched political shows were sharing it. Celebrities, activists, teachers, veterans, students. One comment. "Read. He didn't raise his voice. He raised the standard." The following morning, Karoline was scheduled for a follow-up appearance. She cancelled. Her team issued a statement saying the moment was taken out of context. But it was too late. The moment had transcended context. Denzel posted nothing more than the clip with one word. Clarity, no argument. No gloating, no campaign, just clarity. Sometimes you don't win by shouting. You win by standing still and letting someone else unravel. In the silence they created, some viewers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A few staffers looked away as Karoline stepped off stage. Reporters swarmed. "Do you regret what you said to Denzel? How does it feel, knowing the internet turned on you in minutes?" She kept walking, muttering something about freedom of speech and media spin, but nobody was buying it. Online hashtags exploded. Hashtag handled by Denzel, hashtag grace over noise, hashtag sit down Karoline. Just when the storm seemed to slow, Denzel posted again. Not a rant, not vengeance, just a reflection. Some people speak to be heard, others speak when it matters. Last night was about that difference. Thank you to those who listened. No names, no shade, but everyone knew. The post landed like a quiet thunderclap, millions of shares, millions of likes. The interview clip looped not only on news shows but also across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, even in classrooms. Karoline read the post in her car. Her hands trembled. Her assistant glanced back through the rearview mirror, unsure whether to speak. Then the calls came. "Karoline, our donors are freezing contributions. The party's backing away. We can't cover you on this." She stared at her. Screened. Same words she tossed casually at Denzel now echoed back, louder. She hadn't just insulted a man, she'd underestimated a movement. By morning, it had spread. Outside her office, protesters gathered, not screaming, just standing. Signs read, "We heard Denzel. Respect speaks louder." Inside the Capitol, the tone had changed. People she once waved to looked away. A colleague she had mentored nodded coldly. Even the janitor passed her without a word. But it was the voicemail from a rising star in her party that struck hardest. "You picked the wrong man to mock." He didn't clap back, he clarified. "Now he owns the moment and the message." She brushed it off in front of staff. Alone, her breath hitched. She had miscalculated. She thought he'd snap or retreat. But Denzel didn't rise to her bait. He rose above it. That evening, he appeared in a short virtual updates, miling.com. "We passed the bill," he said. "It's done. Sometimes growth doesn't happen in noise. It happens in what follows." The internet erupted again. Even former critics called it masterful. Karoline's night was far from over. At 9:15 p.m., a former aide visibly on national television, "I was in the room when Karoline said she didn't care about the policy. She just wanted the headline. She said going after Denzel would get her attention. I couldn't stay silent anymore." The interview went viral within minutes. People cried, people fumed. Veterans, teachers, students, even conservatives, turned one. Comment captured the sentiment: she didn't just attack Denzel, she attacked Grace. And got drowned by it. Denzel reposted the clip. No caption, just an emoji. Karoline tried to recover with a Notes app apology. Too late. Even her own base began shifting. Online forums called for new leadership. "We need strength, not stunts." He kept his dignity. She lost hers. That night, Karoline sat alone in her apartment. Her phone buzzed in, went silent. Her advisor left the group chat. A close friend texted, "Can't save you." Even her fiancé hesitated before coming downstairs. "You had to poke him," he said. "You should have just listened." She stared at the TV. Denzel's face appeared not smug, not bitter, just present. And that's when she realized she hadn't just lost an argument, she had lost the room. Karoline tried to post replies, defenses, retorts, but every response made things worse. Old clips resurfaced her, praising Denzel, supporting the bill. The internet remembered. She turned off her phone not because she was being cancelled, but because she saw the truth: she had cancelled herself. Meanwhile, in a quiet office overlooking the Capitol, Denzel Washington reviewed briefings, black pen in hand. The Equity and Honor Act had passed. The country was moving forward. His focus wasn't on celebration but on principle. His longtime advisor entered, resting a hand on his shoulder. "You handled it with grace," she said. Denzel nodded. "They needed to know I don't fall for spectacle." Another aide stepped in, holding a phone. "Sir, your draft is ready." The post was short, measured, and exact. Betrayal from within is louder than opposition from outside. But we don't retaliate. We rebuild with character. With clarity, for the people. He read it once aloud, then looked up. "Post it." Even staff trained for neutrality clapped, not for politics, but for integrity. In New Hampshire, the last dam broke. Polls showed Karoline's approval had collapsed. Only 9% of conservative voters still stood with her. Endorsements vanished. Churches pulled invitations. Fundraisers disappeared at a town hall. She tried to make amends, but the crowd met her with cold silence. "You lied to us," a mother said. "You mocked a man who's done more for this country than you ever will," said a veteran, holding a folded flag. "I thought I was doing what was right," Karoline stammered. "No," a teen cut in. "You did what your PR team thought would go viral." The room broke. That night, Karoline sat alone in her office. Her inbox held one unread message. Subject line: "You stood against character. Now stand alone." She didn't reply. She couldn't. Her hands shook, her chest tightened. It wasn't just a failed interview. She hadn't lost a moment. She had lost the people. Morning broke over Washington. But for Karoline Leavitt, it still felt like midnight with no end in sight. Karoline opened the app one last time, fingers hovering over the tweet button. Before she could type a word, another clip surfaced, an old interview where she had once praised Denzel as a symbol of what we should be teaching in schools. The hypocrisy was on full display. She locked her phone. This wasn't a media takedown, it was a self-inflicted collapse. She had underestimated the man who never asked to win, only to be heard. Now he was both. One of her few remaining allies messaged her, "Can't save you." She stood by her window and looked down. The streets below weren't filled with protesters, they were filled with people, calm, focused. Holding signs, Denzel stood with us. You chose noise over dignity. We're still listening. Even conservative radio voices who once supported her were changing tone. You don't take cheap shots at a man like that, one host said. Especially not Denzel Washington. He didn't destroy her, he didn't need to. Karoline attempted one last defense online. Every reply buried her further. Screenshots of past interviews emerged where she had praised Denzel's character and supported the very bill she now opposed. Her hypocrisy wasn't just revealed, it was etched in digital stone. She turned off her phone, and for the first time since it began, she said it aloud, "I did this to myself." In Washington, Denzel quietly reviewed policy briefs. No smile, no grandstanding, just focus. A staffer entered with a printout. "Another draft post, sir." Denzel read it aloud. When someone wearing your colors breaks formation, you don't retaliate. You realign. Because the mission stays the same. Honor, service, people. He looked up. Post it. The room remained silent, not for fear, out of respect. It wasn't revenge. It was principle. In a small North Carolina town, 36-year-old Marine veteran David McCullen sat watching Denzel's press appearance. His hands didn't shake from nerves. They burned with clarity. His brother had died by suicide after being denied care at an understaffed VA clinic. The Equity and Honor Act would have helped, but Karoline Leavitt voted no. David turned to his wife. "It's time." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Do it for him." That night, David recorded a video. Karoline Leavitt turned her back on veterans. "I'm no politician, I'm a Marine, and I'm answering Denzel Washington's call." Within an hour, 2.3 million views. Denzel reposted it with 4 words. "That's who we fight for." Donations poured in. Commenters wept. They called him the People's Marine. And just like that, this wasn't backlash. It was a movement. By morning, everything changed again. A letter arrived, written in crayon by an 8-year-old girl named Emily from Winston-Salem. Her dad, a truck driver, had struggled since the pandemic. The bill would have helped, but Karoline voted no. Her letter was short. "Dear Mr. Washington, thank you for fighting for my daddy. He's tired, and he cries a lot. Please don't stop helping us. Please don't let that lady hurt other families like mine." Denzel read the letter aloud at a roundtable that morning. He had to pause halfway through. Even journalists stayed quiet. He finished. "This is who we fight for, not sponsors. Not soundbites. Emily's daddy. Every family like his." Social media erupted. He didn't campaign, he cared. "This is why we trust him." Meanwhile, Karoline's silence was broken by the voice of someone who'd never spoken before, her daughter, standing in the doorway, eyes full of tears. "Mom, you broke people's hearts. Emily's, that Marine's, ours." Karoline whispered. "I thought I was doing the right thing." Her daughter shook her head. "No, you did what was easy." Moments later, her husband, silent for days, finally spoke. "Now we all carry the cost." He added softly, "Denzel didn't expose you to hurt you, he did it to protect us." Karoline collapsed into the couch. She cried not because she was defeated, but because she finally understood that she deserved it. Across the South, the voices weren't just online, they were on the streets. Charlotte, Durham, Asheville, thousands marched not in protest, but in affirmation. Even little Emily was there, perched on her father's shoulders, waving a hand-drawn sign. In Washington, Denzel watched the footage. He leaned toward the monitor. "That's not a rally," he said. "That's America waking up." Karoline saw the crowd too. Then she saw the sign that shattered her. "You will never be trusted again." Her team begged her not to speak, but desperation makes people reckless. She agreed to a live interview. Under the lights, she looked hollow. The host didn't wait. "Ms. Leavitt, did you accept money to oppose Denzel's bill?" she stammered. "I acted on principle, there are records. I needed funding for re-election." There it was. Not a denial, just need. The host looked into the camera. You heard it. She admits it. The internet detonated. School kids reenacted the clip on TikTok. One boy wiped tears with Monopoly money. I needed funding, he said, mocking her. She had become a meme. A lesson by nightfall, her approval rating dropped to 2%. Meanwhile, Denzel posted a clip. American flags waving in the wind. Caption: We rise by doing what's right. At exactly 10 o'clock, he landed in North Carolina. No cameras, no speeches, just him, his son, and 2 black SUVs. At the community center, veterans and families waited. Emily sat on her father's lap. Denzel knelt beside her. You're what this country is about, he said, voice catching, and I'll never stop fighting for you. By noon, 50,000 people stood outside. No mics, just Denzel stepping onto the porch. You trusted me, he said. I won't forget it. That was enough. Men wept, women prayed. Reporters went silent. Back in D.C., Karoline scrolled through the footage, trembling. She saw Emily, she saw David, she saw truth. She whispered, I betrayed the wrong man. Her name became a shadow, spoken only in warning. Finally, she recorded a message. No lights. No team, just her voice, thin and raw. To the people of North Carolina, I failed you. I failed Denzel. I failed myself. She paused. He was right. The Justice and Honor Act wasn't about politics. It was about people. Emily, David, all of you. I see now I let ambition cloud my judgment. I'm sorry. She ended it. Mr. Washington, if you're watching, I was wrong, and I hope someday you'll forgive me. The video went viral, that the comments did too. Too late, you were warned. He doesn't owe you silence. Denzel said nothing, because sometimes silence says it all. That evening, he appeared live from the Oval Office. No notes, no teleprompter. Just the flag on his chest and resolve in his eyes. I didn't come here to talk politics, he began. I came to talk about pain and healing. He spoke of the bill, of who it served, of why it mattered. This isn't perfect, but it's real, and it's ours. He looked into the camera. To those who doubted, mocked, or betrayed, you didn't hurt me. You hurt them, the people, but we'll heal, because that's what we do. Across the nation, people fell silent. Fathers wiped tears. Grandmothers whispered prayers. Children leaned closer. I will keep fighting, he said. Not for applause, but for every forgotten soul in this country. And in that moment, a nation stood together. The hashtags followed. We stand with Denzel, not just a voice. A defender. Karoline sat alone, red-eyed, watching it all unfold. Once, she dreamed of standing in that spotlight. Now, she couldn't show her face in her own district. At 8 a.m. sharp, a final message from Denzel appeared. No filters, no fanfare, just white letters on a black screen. I didn't fight back for me. I fought for you, for every family, for every worker, for every forgotten soul in this country. And we're just getting started. Signed, Denzel Washington, America first, always. The post shattered records, 35 million views in 2 hours. Kids wrote it in chalk on driveways. Teachers printed it on classroom walls. Emily saw it on her tablet and whispered, he kept his word, Daddy. And somewhere, in a quiet studio, David McCullen looked into a camera. Karoline Leavitt turned her back on us. Denzel never did. America didn't roar with rage, it rose with gratitude. Because Denzel didn't boast. He simply stood tall. He didn't just call out betrayal. He restored belief, and if you felt this story, if you stood straighter, if you remembered what truth sounds like, then share it. Because this isn't just a story, it's a reminder, and we need more of them. God bless Denzel Washington. God bless the people, and God bless the United States of America.